One, it's live and it's action, and here we are at where are we? The Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out, and Rebekah Eden has joined us. She is going to share with you a beautiful story, a beautiful song, manifesting your soulmate with music. So I told her, because when I interviewed her last time for the recording, she only played a little bit. And the next day, I had four males contact me. Okay, that was like totally out of the ordinary. And I had to realize the only thing that was different was I listened to Rebekah's, just part of her song. So I firmly believe there's a warning label on this. Do not listen unless you're ready to receive. So, Rebekah, please tell us how you came about this journey of transforming your old situation in a relationship into your new relationship, and how you've done it with music and how you're helping others.
Okay, well, thank you for asking and for having me here. This is a lot of fun. Winding back over 15 years, I guess 17 years ago or so, I had really reached a point in my relationships where I mean, romantic relationships, I just didn't want one anymore, because I felt, alternately either disappointed or at worst betrayed. Mm-hmm. And in the middle there, I always felt like I was being pulled off my larger mission and my larger purpose, like derailed like a train. Mm-hmm. And, certainly that had everything to do with the way I thought about myself. And, I also certainly learned a lot from these men who I had dated and been with over the years. So, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But in the end, I was really depleted, and clear. I felt like I'm clearly not doing something right here. Something is missing. I really need to regroup, and relax about this, and just take a big step back. And so my big step back I was out of the dating game for about a year and a half. And towards the end of that year and a half, it was November 2002, I started to feel a little bit of rustling in my heart, the feelings of wanting, my soulmate, not just a date, not just somebody to hang out with, but actually wanting my beloved, my husband, to show up. And I thought, well, how's that going to happen? And it was a strange situation of both wanting him and not wanting him. I had a very intuitive friend who I was away with on a trip, who said, well, I think he's going to show up in 3 weeks, Rebekah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, it turned out she was right. She was totally right. But it kind of got the ball rolling in my mind. Mm-hmm. And in the end, I don't really think that it is one moment or one person or anything outside of us that manifests a soulmate. It's an internal change. Okay,
so when you said you wanted one, but you didn't want one, so can you describe that a little bit about that for the viewers?
It was a bit of a push me, pull you. I think I had been so hurt that I had built walls up around my heart, and that I had this sort of idealized, knight in shining armor idea maybe, but it's almost like I couldn't get really excited about it. Maybe because I was too afraid of being disappointed again, maybe something like that. And so it was a nice feeling to desire it, which I really hadn't for a year and a half. Right. But I really wasn't quite there. But so, when my friend said, I think he's coming in 3 weeks, it got me thinking. And the next thing I knew, I was back home in church, sitting behind some friends, a married couple who had both been married to other people and raised families with those spouses, launched their kids, and then they ended up divorcing amicably, but that period of their lives ended. And I don't think either of them had any idea that they would find their actual soulmate. And my friend Virginia, who wrote this wonderful poem, My Beloved, told me in church that day, she said, you know, about 6 months before Richard showed up, I had no idea that I would ever be with anybody again. And suddenly I just sort of received this poem and I penned it. I called it My Beloved, and I knew something was up. I knew something was happening. And within 6 months he showed up, and, you know, they've been together, I want to say at least 20 years at this point.
Wow.
So I said, please tell me the poem. Tell me the poem. So she recited the poem, and I burst into tears. I mean, I really, like, it slayed me. The poem really, it nailed my heart. And I thought, well, I got to make music out of this. I got to take this home and write a song to it. So with Virginia's permission, I made a song out of it. And that song wrote itself. I sat at the piano and sang it. That's essentially how I wrote it. I ended up singing it to myself every day for 2 weeks. And initially there was a huge opening, like a real inspiration with it. And then after a couple of days, I hit the wall around my heart. And the song chipped away at that wall. It did something to it so that I don't want to say it totally melted or anything, but you don't need it to totally melt in order to manifest your beloved. You don't. You need willingness, and it opened up that willingness. And so within 2 weeks, my husband Michael came into my life, and that was about 15 years ago. And it was really an extraordinary thing. But so I used the lyrics and the music and the singing of it and the repeating of it as a tool to up my game, really, to clear myself of the past. And to reestablish trust in myself too, that I knew what I was doing, and that it was my beloved I was attracting, not anybody else.
Right.
But I'd love to share the poem with you, if that's all right.
Yeah, I just want to, so we're talking really about intentional, positive language that we know science says that, hey, there's different vibrations and there's a different resonance when you're using affirmative words, right? Like love. So your beloved, your loved, has a greater vibration than just that guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it speaks to a sacred connection, not a connection of manipulation or a manufactured connection or something that is only human created. There was something really, I believe that Virginia's poem is divine. That's why it inspired me in the way that it did. That's why it's so powerful. And when we align with that, it's a mixture of power and vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's like nothing can stop us at that point. It's an amazing thing.
Well, also what came to me is like when you were talking about, you know, in the beginning you were opening and then you felt like it was penetrating the walls of your heart. And so the thought was like, yeah, I guess that's what it was doing for me, because as you know, I have recently, you know, just gotten divorced. And so the idea of, you know, opening the doors and saying, I really want somebody in my life is like, no, I trust the process and whenever that shows up. So I felt like actually that process was like maybe that energy just opened some of those little things and said, oh, you know what, maybe you don't have any control over this, right? Maybe there's still some little things around your heart. And it's like those vibrations were just, you know, hitting it and creating those little openings. So I can see if someone was listening to this regularly, right? Did you sing it every day? Did you sing it twice a day when you were doing this work?
I sang it every day, probably several times a day.
Okay.
And at first it was really fun, and then it was really hard. And then when Michael showed up, it was really fun.
Well, and sometimes that's what happens when you're changing a habit, right? Like it gets exciting, and then it's like, ooh, you know, you do hit the part where you're having the big detox, right?
Yeah.
And, Yeah, that's it. So yes, let's all just open up and receive this beautiful poem for starters. And yes, if you'd like to recite it to us, it's fabulous. So thank you, Virginia.
Yes, thank you, Virginia, indeed. So, my beloved shelters me wholly, tall, standing, and real. Arms like old branches, their strength doth reveal. All that I've dreamt of and wept on waking and feeling the warmth where he slept. I know he approaches. I welcome him home. My body is waiting. My mind has atoned. My spirit accepts him, so long kept at bay. I release my aloneness. I want him today. Love is my calling. Truth is my guide. Caring a lifetime will finally provide all that I've prayed for and sought. My true love has found me. He never forgot.
Yeah, that was like, what was that line about releasing when you?
I release my aloneness. My aloneness. I release it.
So when you said that time, I was really present. So right there in my heart area, there was this like that, like that's what it was like. It was like a as Melody would say that she does this when she's opening the connections to her heart. You know, it's like this, something's going, yes, this is it. Well, in this case, it was a get it out. So how long did it take you to write the song?
About 5 minutes. Yeah. And, you know, I am a tortured songwriter about 70% of the time, and 30% of the time the songs just kind of come and that's it. And of course, you know, I'm like, okay, that's the last good song I'll ever write because I don't know where it comes from. You know, and that's not to say it's way better than another song, but it tends to have something that is not overly sort of thought out. It's not manipulated or manufactured. It's just sort of what it is. And you know, the song, it's pretty simple, and the production that I did was just a piano vocal production. So just very, very simple. It's really all about the vibe and the message and the alignment that's involved.
Well, yes. And so I don't know. I'm like, you know, is everybody ready? Because this is going to change your life. And so they can get a hold of this song, right? Where can they get a hold of this song?
You can go to RebekahEden.com, which is RebekahEden.com, and click on the link at the top that says My Beloved, and you'll see the whole story, the lyrics, and you'll be able to download the song.
Wow. Okay, so everybody's ready for this one because here it goes. All right, take it away, Rebekah, my beloved.
So would you like to hear a verse?
I'm like, do I want to? No.
Not sure if that was what you were asking.
I know. I was thinking, yes, did you want to play again? But then I was like, do I want to hear that verse again? So it's like, I'm feeling like maybe you were in the beginning about that push me, pull you, because I recognize there is an energy there, right? And it's like, you know, see, I can surrender to the process of saying, hey, you want me to host this global party? This is not a summit idea. You want me to do something entirely different? I can step into that when for me, this idea of just stepping in again and really surrendering and letting somebody else back into my life.
Yeah. Well, it's good for when you're ready. It's good for when you're ready. And, you know, as always, there are a couple things about it. Number one, I think it only opens up our highest good.
Yes.
Right. And Lord literally knows what that is. And so we're not going to get involved again in anything that isn't good for us and isn't in our highest, best interest. And the other thing, too, is that when people come into our lives, when a soulmate comes in, or a potential soulmate, a would-be soulmate, the song and the vibration of it, the lyrics, don't give us a pass on exercising our discernment muscle, right? There was one person who, when she listened to the song overnight, 19 men contacted her on her dating site, which was about 4 or 5 times more than she had all in any given week.
Right.
And so, my advice would be don't like let them all in.
Right.
Tune in and use your own sovereign knowing, internal knowing, because this is, again, it's not about giving ourselves away. It's about reclaiming ourselves and being in our own highest alignment and good to the degree that we're able. So for someone who doesn't want a soulmate,
right,
they can nonetheless invoke their highest good at any time.
Do you think it would work the same for a man wanting to bring his beloved into his life? And I'm just talking male, female at the moment, but in any situation, female to female, male to male, whatever.
Right. Well, I think a couple things about that. I think, of course, the vibration is there to bring in your soulmate, whoever they may be, regardless of gender or sexual orientation. That's just a given. Now, the particular words that my friend Virginia came up with were for a heterosexual relationship. She was looking for a man. Right. Right. And she is a woman. So it's led me to think, well, maybe I should could come up with a song that changed the lyrics a little bit, or even a completely different song that would use different gender related pronouns
right.
That could be in the works. I'm thinking about it.
Cool. And so do you also have other music and songs along this manifestation line, like, how to manifest abundance with music, or?
Well, that's a great question. I'm actually working on that right now. I have a line of songs that I've been working on to manifest abundance, to overcome grief, to get in touch with our own highest good. Mm-hmm. And, as in singing, a really good singing happens when, we know what we're doing. We have a coordination that's going on, but it's not a physical thing in the end. It happens somewhere between the spiritual world and the physical world, really good singing. Mm-hmm. There's something that comes through that's like bigger than the personality. It's bigger than the person's intellect and who they think they are, who we think we are. And that surrender to music and to self-expression in that way is really the same kind of surrender that I seek in my business, in my love relationship, in my friendships. It's the ability to listen beyond my own ideas of what to do, just to open up and listen to the divine. And I'm not very good at it, but I'm working at it. And what I find amazing is it only takes a little willingness for a lot to change in our favor. So, music and words put together are something that are greater than the sum of the parts. And this was understood, hundreds of years ago when a bunch of Italian men in a men's club came up with the idea of opera. They're like, we've had it with madrigals. We want to create a new art form. Now, some people may curse them for opera, but for opera lovers, it's a blessing, right? And they wanted emotion to be shown through music. And they felt like with all the singers singing in madrigals, you lost the the individual sense of the solo voice and whatnot. So they created music plus words, as in the old ancient Greek tradition, equals more than the sum of the parts. And you can take this and use it for manifestation in all areas of your life, not just a great, entertainment experience, but something really, really powerful to steer your life with.
Well, that makes perfect sense, right? That you're using it to steer your life, and it brings you joy in the process. So,
and it brings you great collaborations, great people to work with.
What I'm amazed about is that when this idea came to me, I was thinking that joy is the highest vibration. So that's where healing really naturally occurs, right? So this idea of a party, and every party has music. And it wasn't in the original game plan. I just said, find a song that maybe you like in the beginning, and we can have people identify with that song. But now here you are, you're sharing this wonderful piece of music to helping people manifest, their soulmate and other things that can happen in their life. We've had, Vanessa doing the belly dancing. We have Diane Annie's going to be playing some beautiful instruments in a couple hours. And it's interesting that this music component has all arrived in this party atmosphere because joy is this healing quality.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's the collaboration and the co-creative process that makes everything much more enjoyable. Do you want to play a bar or two for us, or would you just prefer that we just go download it right now? No.
I'll sing a verse.
Okay.
I'll sing a verse. So here we go. My beloved.
Okay.
My beloved shelters me home to stand and dream. Arms like gold branches, their strength to be me. Verse number 1.
That's beautiful. Really, really lovely energy, right? Like it's like I work a lot with energy, and it's a very calming, wonderful feeling. And I do. I feel like it's got this calling in component. Bridget Murphy had talked about soul retrieval and calling back your power. And that's what comes to me as this song is calling back what's in your heart.
And making visible what's in your heart.
Yeah.
It's like a spell to make invisible things visible.
Yeah, allowing it to show up, right? Yeah. It's to whatever is there, like as you said before, the walls, or I can feel like there's a little that had stuff that had to go. It's like letting whatever is there. We don't even have to put words or describe it. Just know that have a willingness to release it and embrace the beloved, my beloved. Okay, did I say it? No.
Maybe you're better off with my beloved as just being you and God right now.
Yeah. Okay. So it's okay. This is good because I'm being honest that there is some little bit of resistance there. So this is what it's clearing, and it's all good because we need to let go of these illusions of whatever my story is. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be frank about it.
My pleasure. The out is through.
Yeah. So your website is RebekahEden.com.
Yep.
Okay. And it is REBEKAH.
Yep.
EDEN.com, and you can put that in the comments below if you want, but that's where you can go ahead and get yourself this song. And it's almost like, if this is really what you want, it's listen to it a few times a day, like as if you're, you know, instead of, well, you could still do your meditation, whatever you do to tune in, but to be present to this. And I'm sure, do you have a comment section, Rebekah, on your website, or where are you gonna collect all these comments and emails?
Well, I've already collected a number over Facebook from a number of people, but I have a contact form on the website. Anybody who wants to write me and tell me what they are feeling and experiencing, I'm very happy to hear it.
Awesome. Okay. You're gonna, you know, Melody was saying her goal is to reduce the divorce rate, and that's what I was saying, is to bring people back into, you know, good, healthy relationships that bring them joy. And I was saying, between her goal and your song,
there you go.
There is so much goodness happening here. We're healing so many levels. And what's also common is we're talking about generational stuff in so many conversations. So it is definitely got a ripple effect. I really appreciate that with the technical difficulties this morning, with my little cat nap, and then everything, that we managed to get this done at a good time, and everybody got to hear you.
Thank you.
Really lovely.
Yay!
Yay! And so at this point, I just want to bid you adieu. I thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing all those love letters that people are writing you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can't wait to hear the rest of your interviews.
Okay, have a good night. Bye.
Bye.